Poetry. From age to age, from east to west, the human capacity for rhyme is well documented. From Homer to Virgil to Shakespeare to Valmiki, poets have captured the ears and imaginations of audiences of all cultures. In the Delhi area, one of the most influential poetic legacies is that of the last great Mughal poet in the region before Britain took over. His name was Mirza Asadullah Beg Khan. Known by many names, he is most well known by one name, Ghalib. Today, the Soos family joins the Delhi-based poetry group Pach, aka Poetry and Cheap Humor, to scour the highways and byways of new and old Delhi to find Ghalib-inspired poetry on the lips of everyday citizens of all ages. It's a celebration of poetry, song, and Ghalib on this special Poetry and Cheap Humor-inspired edition of American Indian. We're an American family living in India. We love food, film, language, culture, and making new friends. Join our adventures from America to India and beyond. The idea for this episode came from Pach, Poetry and Cheap Humor, a group in Delhi committed to the power of poetry to express oneself authentically and deeply. As they've written in their bio, poetry is everywhere. It's in forever hidden diaries, it's in forgotten margins of besotten letters, in scratched sentences on broken benches, in flowery pages, in long-lost ages, in the influence of booze, on the walls in public loos, in two split parts, in two split hearts, in listless eyes, in love, in sighs. Poetry is everywhere, and Pach is where poetry finds expression. There's poetry in you, let's Pach it out together. Our new intern Vipul and I got a chance to do just that one afternoon not long ago in Lodi Gardens.
So it's got gur in it? So this is, say it again, pitta? Pitta. It's kind of like momos, but sweet and not like momos at all. Interesting. It is kind of like a dumpling. It's filling, actually. It'd be a good snack to eat. Now we're trying chuare. Like dates, but they're like
dates pound.
They're yellower than the dates that I'm used to. But the dates I'm used to are like brown, nice and sweet, different.
अब शुरू करते हैं सबसे पहले हरे गान से इंट्रोडक्शन लेंगे सबसे पहले सब अपने बारे में सब कुछ बताएंगे पच के बारे में कैसे पता लगा पच क्या मतलब पहला पच है वो सबसे पहले होगा तो धैर्यकांत से शुरू करते हैं।
इस कदर साख बचाने पे उतर आए हैं खेल में गिरने गिराने पे उतर आए हैं। इस कदर साख बचाने पे उतर आए हैं खेल में गिरने गिराने पे उतर आए हैं। कभी उतरे थे बहाने पे हमी अश्को लहू कभी उतरे थे बहाने पे हमी अश्को लहू अब ये दिन है कि बहाने पे उतर आए।
Brief editor interjection. I've sat through about 3 translations of this and none of them have really done it justice. There's a lot of double meanings in the Urdu from what I understand, and they're not really communicated when you try to translate it into English. And I think there's probably a much better way to translate this English. There's just so much being lost. The word bahana can mean shed, and it can also mean excuses, and so it's a pun when he uses bahane the second time. So I think there's a lot in this, and one of the things I've learned from this about Ghalib and about shairi, this type of poetic style and ghazals, both a lot of homophone, wordplay, and emphasis on the way these words roll off the tongue. You know, I mean, it's poetry, so it really is supposed to have this very artistic flow to it, and a musical flow, really. And Urdu definitely has that ability. So a lot of this is lost, and so I'm sorry that I haven't quite gotten that translation quite right. If you are like a poet and shairi is your thing, please do add in the comments any sort of translations of your favorite ones that you come across in this video. That one is personally my favorite. I really like that one, and I don't think I've really done it justice any of the times I've tried to get it translated. Small editor's vlog note there. All right, back to the video.
उधारी की तख्ती पर बेरोजगारी सा फिरता था उधारी की तख्ती पर बेरोजगारी सा फिरता था तेरे शहर की गलियों में मैं गालिब बस उम्मीदों पर जीता था।
बहुत बढ़िया।
सबके सामने दिल को खोला जरा कम करो सबके सामने दिल को खोला जरा कम करो दोस्त बनाने हो यहाँ तो बोला जरा कम करो।
आजकल यूं ही सड़कों पर दिल भटकने को करता है हर गली हर चौराहा पेचीदा सा लगता है दूर खड़े रहकर दिखती नहीं रोशनी हर वक्त पर फिर भी जाने क्यों ये मन भटकने को कहता है।
मौत होती है चाहे इंसान की या जानवर की। मौत होती है चाहे इंसान की या जानवर की। दुआ करो सबकी थाली में वेज बिरयानी जरूर हो। माना मोहब्बत से मरहूम हुए अब तक, माना मोहब्बत से मरहूम हैं अब तक, कहीं ना कहीं तो इस फक्कड़ की प्रेम दीवानी जरूर होगी।
Members and budding poets and filmmakers and writers congregated in the center of this beautiful oasis in Delhi to share their words and rhymes, opinions, and deepest thoughts. While my Hindi and Urdu are nowhere near up to snuff for such a venture, I did share the lyrics in English to my song Tughlaq, which were graciously received. If you'd like to learn more about joining a Pach meetup, check the links below to connect with them. They would love to meet you. Pach had a dream to interview people of all walks of life in the streets and parks and gullies of Delhi to hear what kinds of poems are playing in the minds of the common man and woman. The motto of these reconnaissance missions was to be Ghalib ke sheher mein har koi shair hai. A rough, very unpoetic English translation of this would be, in the city of Ghalib, everyone is a poet. For our first venture into Delhi, we decided to start at Connaught Place, the shopping, meeting, and business hub of Lutyens, New Delhi. On Sundays, Connaught Place turns into a playground for people of all ages from 6 to 10 a.m., with the weekly transformation of the shopping center and streets of CP into a community celebration called Raggiri. Youths jam together, rap together, check out cool cars together. It's kind of like the old George Lucas film American Graffiti, and it makes the perfect testing ground for Pach's poet hunt. I was a bit skeptical of the endeavor, to be honest. Even though I seem to be very outgoing on this channel, I don't necessarily like going up to people I don't know and asking them to appear on video. But this guy, Ashish Sharma, had no such fear. Ashish is an avid member of Pach, and he was to be our point man, leading the way in pitching the Pach vision to random strangers. He was joined by Ragini and Itti, and with their help, we met quite a few poets.
ਦਿਲ ਤੋੜਨ ਵਾਲੀਆਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਜੇਲ੍ਹ ਹੋ ਜਾਵੇ ਤੂੰ ਆਉਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਪੇਪਰਾਂ 'ਚ ਫੇਲ ਹੋ ਜਾਵੇ ਤੇਰੇ ਡੈਡੀ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਕੰਮ ਹੁਣ ਠੱਪ ਹੋ ਜਾਵੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਨੈਣੋ ਲਿੱਤੀ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਹੁਣ ਬੰਦ ਹੋ ਜਾਵੇ
ਆਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੇਰੀ ਜਾਨ ਕੱਟੀ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹੋ ਛੋਟ ਜਾਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ
हमें तो अपनों ने लूटा गैरों में कहा था।
क्या बात है, बहुत ही बढ़िया।
हमें तो अपनों ने लूटा गैरों में कहा दम था हमारी किस्ती थी बिल्कुल जहाँ पर।
अरे वाह,
बहुत खूब।
अपने दिल की दुनिया में उसे बुला ना सके, बहुत कोशिश की मगर उसे पा ना सके, किसी और को बनाया उसने अपना, फिर भी आखिरी दम तक उसे बुला ना सके।
मेरी आंखों में मोहब्बत की चमक आज भी है, हालांकि उसे मेरे प्यार पे शक आज भी है। नाव में बैठकर धोए थे हाथ उसने कभी, पूरे तालाब में मेहंदी की।
By mid-morning, we realized Pach was onto something because we were meeting people from all kinds of backgrounds who were not just willing, but excited to share their favorite couplets. We decided to take a break at the Indian coffee house and maybe see if we could find any poets in the largely literary crowd that often frequents its doors. But we still were a bit early, and the only guest who made our acquaintance was unwelcomed. He just thinks that he owns this place. Then a group of young luminaries arrived, and while they had their business to attend to, they were happy to share some shairi. One even frantically composed some lines on the spot. Whether from memory of a previous composition, or if he's just that level of a master, I'm not sure, but he was excited to make his voice heard.
तू बेपरवाह, तू बेवफा, तू अनजान, तू परेशान, दिल तेरा मगर प्यार के मेरे निशान।
आज उनकी याद ने हमें तड़पाया बहुत है।
वाह वाह।
आज उनकी याद ने हमें तड़पाया बहुत है। आज ना चाहते हुए भी वो याद आई बहुत है। उसके बाद तो जैसे खुद से दोस्ती हो गई, उसके बाद तो जैसे खुद से दोस्ती हो गई, फिर क्यों आज तन्हाइयों ने हमें डराया बहुत है।
जो जुड़ नहीं पाए फिर कभी, शाख से टूटा वो पत्ता हूँ मैं। जो जुड़ नहीं पाए फिर कभी, शाख से टूटा वो पत्ता हूँ मैं। जिस रास्ते पे तू चल के भूल गया, वो भूला हुआ रास्ता हूँ मैं। तुझसे नाराज़ हूँ मैं, मुझसे नाराज़ ये ज़िंदगी। तुझसे नाराज़ हूँ मैं, मुझसे नाराज़ ये ज़िंदगी। जो बह के भी भिगो ना पाए दामन तेरा, उन्हीं आंसुओं पे अब हंसता हूँ मैं। जो तेरे दिल में ना भर सका, तेरी रूह में ना उतर सका। जो तेरे दिल में ना भर सका, तेरी रूह में ना उतर सका। जो मुझे तेरा ना कर सका, वो प्यार का जज्बा हूँ मैं। जो जुड़ नहीं पाए फिर कभी, शाख से टूटा वो पत्ता हूँ।
Our first endeavor being such a success, we decided to give it another go, this time exchanging the British-influenced business district of New Delhi for the narrow gullies of Old Delhi. We would start at Ghalib's house, a repository of some of Ghalib's most famous poems. We met the shopkeeper right next door to the house, and it turned out that he had a long-standing relationship with the property.
ये प्रॉपर्टी मेरे दादा की थी। ये पहले बहुत ज़्यादा इसका हाल ख़राब था, तो फिर हाई कोर्ट के फैसले के बाद हम लोगों ने ये प्रॉपर्टी दिल्ली सरकार को दे दी, तो इसका फिर ये रेनोवेशन हुआ जो आप आज देख रहे हैं। मिर्ज़ा गालिब कहते हैं, हज़ारों ख्वाहिशें ऐसी कि हर ख्वाहिश पे दम निकले, बहुत निकले मेरे अरमां मगर फिर भी कम निकले। तो ये एक ऐसी ख्वाहिश है कि अगर हम ये शेर नरेंद्र मोदी पर भी कहें तो वहाँ पर भी फिट बैठता है, एक आम घर वाले के लिए भी कहें वहाँ पर भी फिट बैठता है, और एक कारोबारी के लिए कहें तो वहाँ पर भी फिट बैठता है, और एक आशिक के लिए कहें तो वहाँ पर भी फिट बैठता है। मतलब आदमी को सारी ख्वाहिशें हैं, उसकी इतनी ख्वाहिशें हैं, एक खूबसूरत बीवी होनी चाहिए, बच्चे होने चाहिए, एक अच्छा कारोबार होना चाहिए, और उसकी लेकिन उसको मिलता नहीं। ये ज़रूरी नहीं है कि उसको सभी कुछ उसको मिल जाए,
सभी ख्वाहिशें पूरी,
हाँ उसकी हर ख्वाहिश पूरी हो जाए।
कितना बनता है?
ए खुदा उससे दगा न कर, मैं जिंदा ना रहूं बिन उसके ये दुआ न कर। कोई देखता है उसे तो होती है जलन, हे हवा तू भी उसे छुआ ना कर।
One man in particular was more than happy to share line after line of classic Urdu poetry with us, giving us right here on the street corner an impromptu poetic exhibition.
गालिब साहब कहते हैं, अच्छी सूरत भी क्या बुरी शय है, अच्छी सूरत भी क्या बुरी शय है, जिसने डाली बुरी नजर डाली। और डाली डाली पे जब नजर डाली, पत्ते पत्ते में तुझको देख लिया। तुमने उल्फत की जब नजर डाली, मेरी दुनिया खराब कर डाली। खूब बीमार का इलाज किया और हालत खराब कर डाली।
There is a tendency for outsiders of Islamic culture to assume that all Muslims are the same, believe the same, eat the same, drink the same, and dress the same. But Ghalib is one of those individuals who proves we have a lot more to learn about one another. Ghalib was a Muslim by community, but his poetry has influenced the hearts and minds of people from all communities in North India, and his lifestyle and philosophy of art and love were quite edgy. The man was a veritable rock star. This is not to say that his words were flippant or edgy for edginess' sake, but his honesty and wit are on display right alongside his probing meditations on the difficulties of life. In effect, Ghalib is the perfect incarnation of the ideal of poetry and cheap humor. He was fond of both. Ghalib's tomb is located across town near the Sufi shrine, the Nizamuddin Dargah. An event was even to be held there that night, in fact. The tomb itself is a quiet little nook in the hubbub of the bustling neighborhood of cross-hatched gullies that is Nizamuddin West. Ashish was grateful to get the opportunity to get this close to one of his poetic inspirations, and I was a bit surprised when I got up close and personal with a peacock.
Is this peacock mating with me? What is this thing doing? It's like right up in my face. I don't think you realize how close this thing is to me right now. It's so weird. Hi, buddy. How you doing? I'm not a potential mate, I promise. Just looking for a friend. Good seeing you. Nice having this time together. So, see you later.
Kind of a surreal moment. These birds, in my experience, are not normally this friendly. When the locals heard about our goal to find poems on the lips of the everyman, they resonated with it intently, and in some cases attempted to forcibly cajole their buddies into delivering up stanzas on the spot.
भाई एक शायरी सुना दीजिए गालिब साहब के नाम पे। एक शायरी सुना, आपका नाम क्या है? गालिब साहब के नाम। मोहम्मद शमशेर। बस एक सुना दो। मतलब काय पे सुना रहे हैं? गालिब साहब के नाम पे। जो तुझे आता है जो तू 3 बार मारता है वो मार दो सुना। भाभी के नाम पे सुना दो। नहीं यार मैंने कहा। भाई प्लीज। भाभी के नाम पे सुना दो। क्या किसी भी नाम। माल मिलेगा पेपर, भाभी खाइए रेपर। अरे ये नहीं हम बहुत भाई शायरी सुनाइए आप। यहाँ पर खड़े होकर डायलॉग मारते हैं। तू इतनी शायरी बोलता है बे। आज बोलना।
Ow! Wow, that is a good grip. You should not pick a fight with this person.
आज बोलो टीवी पे हो गए यार। सारे देशों में जाएगी। वर्ल्ड में जाएगी। बढ़िया लग रहे हो आराम से।
कहाँ का आना जाना, कहाँ तुम्हारा मकान है, किस मुल्क के रहने वाले हो, क्या तुम्हारा नाम है? मस्जिद है मेरा आना जाना, कब्रिस्तान मेरा मकान है, इस मिट्टी पे रहने वाला मोहम्मद शमशेर हमारा नाम है।
हुस्न से चांद भी शर्म आया है, आपकी सूरत में गजब उठाया, अल्लाह ताला खुदा कसम।
कहते हैं आंसू आँख की दहलीज पे आया ना करो, हे आंसू आँख की दहलीज पे आया ना करो, दिल के बैत गैरों को बताया ना करो, जमाने वाले मुट्ठी में लेके चलते हैं नमक, जमाने वाले मुट्ठी में लेके चलते हैं नमक, जख्म अपने गैरों को दिखाया ना करो।
मोहब्बत के ऊपर ये शेर है। कभी तलवार उठाती है, कभी दीवार उठाती है, मोहब्बत करने वाले को ये दुनिया जहर पिलाती है। बहुत बढ़िया। मोहब्बत सांसों का बंधन, मोहब्बत सीने की धड़कन, मोहब्बत ख्वाबों का दर्पण, मोहब्बत शीशे का बर्तन। यही ऊंचे मीनारों में, यही नदिया के धारों में, यही कुरान के पारों में, यही गीता के सारों में, ये पूजा जो भी करता है उसे मुजरिम बताती है, मोहब्बत करने वाले को ये दुनिया जहर पिलाती है।
मरा नहीं गालिब, मरा नहीं गालिब, अब भी जिंदा है, मरा नहीं गालिब, अब भी जिंदा है, इतिहास के पन्नों में फूलों के रंगों में, इतिहास के पन्नों में फूलों के रंगों में, रूमानी गजलों में, साहित्य की फसलों में। वो देखो वो है गालिब, वो देखो वो है गालिब, जो दूर तलक एक चंदा है, मरा नहीं गालिब, अब तक जिंदा है।
It was a great place to round out our poetic search. We began in New Delhi, in the carefully manicured architecture of British Delhi, with the youth of India sharing their thoughts on love and life through poetry, and we were ending in the rustic but no less artful byways of a Delhi of yesteryear, with elders and professionals from across the spectrum. There are a lot of tensions globally right now between Christians and Muslims and Jews and atheists and Hindus. There are a lot of tensions between West and Middle East and East. So often I feel the compelling urge to just break down in these streets and say, I'm sorry. Sorry for all the years of miscommunication. Sorry for all the times people representing my culture or religious background or nation have either crusaded across these people's heritage with swords or guns or bombs or sermons or sanctions or embargoes or drone strikes. No, we're not the same in every way. We have different beliefs and different ways of looking at the world, but I firmly believe we owe it to humanity. We owe it to one another to at least start on the right foot and try to understand one another. When I was walking down the main road and about to enter Nizamuddin West, a man stopped me. He asked for his photo. He took a look at the photo on the screen of my camera, nodded approvingly, and moved on. It was a passing moment, maybe took 15 seconds total, but I'll never forget him. I truly believe that if our leaders honestly had moments like this, if they honestly spent time in other communities' gullies, not in their state houses or in the halls of power, and instead of sharing handshakes and photo ops, they would share poetry and portraits, not because it looks good in the news, but because they are just trying to connect and learn something from someone who seems so different. It wouldn't solve all the problems in the world, but I'm absolutely certain it would prevent many. We may not, all of us, whatever our geographical location or cultural background, ever fully agree on everything. But I think with more interaction, we will realize we have more in common than we at first thought. I want to thank Pach for pushing hard to get this video made. It was eye-opening and inspiring. We are a world of over 10,000 unique cultures that have drastically different ways of seeing the world and life. We can do a lot more to try to understand one another before we resort to sermons, speeches, terrorism, or drones. And poetry and cheap humor ain't a bad place to start. Thank you so much for watching American Indian. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you like what you see in the show, please consider supporting the show on Patreon. The more money we can get, the better we can make the show, and the greater likelihood we'll be able to continue doing this for years to come, which is what we really want to do. Thanks again for watching The Surfing Violinist and American Indian in particular. We do one episode of these a month, so if you're thinking, geez, I would like to support Ford's show, but there's just, he releases a ton of videos and he's releasing video game videos, I'm not interested in that. It's only this longer episode of American Indian, which we release once a month at the end of the month. We're trying to make it more like a TV show as opposed to a vlog or a short. Until next time, keep it creative, keep it cross-cultural, and keep it constructive, YouTube. Thank you very much.